I think for all of you that have registered or on the call, very grateful that you have committed the time for your upskilling. So afterwards, we're going to ask you to join our People Shop 101 Reskill Revolution. If you could please get some pen and paper ready. So I'll give you a minute just to really grab that. During the presentation, what we're doing, as mentioned, it's an EI experience. So engaging with you, getting you to make some notes. So, one page should be more than enough, not a huge amount of notes, but pen and paper handy will be wonderful. There's a beautiful quote by Maya Angelou that at the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. There's a huge amount of power in our emotions. So starting off is we're going to just do a mindfulness technique just to bring you into the room in order to just get you to focus on yourself and to dedicate this time to you. So if you get to sit comfortably in your chair, back upright, hands relaxed in your lap. And what we're going to do is just to start become aware of your feet. So become aware of your toes, wiggle them if you like. Become aware of the ball of your foot and the heel of your foot are grounded into the earth. As you do this, become aware of the energy between your feet and the floor that is touching. Now move your awareness up your legs, moving the energy all the way and becoming aware of where your body is touching your seat. Become aware where your legs and your back are supported and held and grounded by your chair. As you continue to do so, move your awareness up into your chest area. And there become aware of your breathing. Gently and kindly, just become aware of your breathing as you breathe into your heart space and breathe out again. The technique we're going to do is called Sit 9 breaths. The reason for this is that we use time breaths in order to increase the exhale. So oftentimes, we have two nervous systems at work. The one is sympathetic, which is more active by our fight, flight, and fight mode. And we have the parasympathetic, which is more the calmer and relaxing nervous system. When we breathe in, we activate the sympathetic nervous system. And when we breathe out, the parasympathetic. So in this technique, you'll be extending your out breath and so doing, activating your parasympathetic nervous system. And in so doing, bring more calm awareness to your body and your mind. So as you're aware of your breathing, we're going to just continue to breathe gently in as I explain the instructions. We'll be breathing in through the nose on a count of 2, holding the air in our chest space for a count of 2, then breathing out for a count of 4, extend longer out breath, and then holding for a pause before we breathe in again. So very gently on the next breath, breathe in through your nose for a count of 2. For a count of 2, hold. And a count of 4 out. A moment's pause before breathing in again. 1, 2. Hold for 1, 2. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a moment. For breathing in again for a count of 2. 1, 2. Hold for a count of 2. 1, 2. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moments pause and in for 2. 1, 2. Hold for 2. Out for 4. Continue with this breath for a few more seconds before we continue the journey. When you're ready, welcome to enter the room and we can move on to the next step. So We often speak about fear being a very big disruptor to our present in the times of living in this pandemic that we're experiencing worldwide. Fear is a big disruptor to our potential future. But as in our previous session, we said that the big game changer for these very changing and black swan times is emotional intelligence. A gentle recap on our previous session is in terms of emotional intelligence, it came into play on the World Economic Forum as a critical skill in 2020 in their first report in 2015. 3 years later, this current report came out in terms of the skills it required for 2022. And a couple of very interesting things came up here. The one is, as we all expected, the big rise of digital in terms of not just technology use, but technology creation. In addition to that, this management of financial and material resources has now gone to more technology and systems analysis. The second thing, which is very interesting, is the shift in skill set. So previously what was required was very much 52% of our previous skills would still stay stable, but 42% of the skills required looking into 2022 is currently not in people's skill set and will have to be developed. The second part, or the third part that is quite interesting, is although there's a very big rise in technology, which is expected, it really is a very dynamic and an adaptable requirement in terms of originality, creativity, critical thinking, and we'll see now a higher level of cognitive ability which is required. But the beautiful thing that is very much within our control to learn upskill in is the soft skills. So emotional intelligence again came in the top 10 of required skill set. The second thing is from a personnel management, we're moving more to a leadership and social influence. The other soft skills that have made a very big impact in this particular survey is the human skills. So everything from creativity to persistence, complex problem solving, resilience, which is very key and part of emotional intelligence, the leadership and the social influence. A report done by McKinsey highlighted that not only do we see a big shift in the physical and the manual skills, but also in the basic cognitive skills. So from the report in 2016, they're predicting for 2030 that we're going to require a much bigger growth in the higher cognitive skills, that adaptability, creativity, but also in the social and emotional skills, which again, EI plays a very key part, and the technology skills, as said before. This survey is from 2016, but I believe that many of these skills is no longer a 2030 requirement, but probably more within the next 3 to 4 years. So what does that mean? It means that by 2022, we need to be having as a world human skill set 101 days of additional learning based on this lack of skill set that's required for the future, which is not currently within people's toolboxes. So which has given rise to People Shop having a 101 reskill revolution. So let's start the EI experience. So if you've got your pen and your pencil handy, what we're going to do is work through a couple of questions with you just to give you a bit of insight into emotional intelligence. So firstly, what we'll be doing is I'm going to ask you to think about a great boss, co-worker, mentor, teacher, someone who you would define in your life experience as a great boss, co-worker, teacher, or mentor. And you can just write that person's name on the top of your paper. So name, initial, all of this that we're sharing will stay 100% confidential. It's more to give you the experience. Now what we're going to do as the next step is we're going to go through 6 questions that I'll ask you one by one. And what you're going to be doing is just a rating. So if you think about this great boss, manager, co-worker, mentor that you have experience of, is on the questions that we'll be explaining is, do they show this behavior or we experience them to show this less significant than others and score them a 1. 3, about average compared to others. And 5, significantly more than others. So first question, so rating of 1, less significant than others, above 3 is average, and 5, significantly more than others. So first question, Thinking about this person, they demonstrate awareness of their mood and emotions. Would you rate them 5, significantly more than others, 3 about average, 1 significantly less, rating between 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. In terms of how they make others feel appreciated, how would you rate this person that you've highlighted making others feel appreciated? Score of 5 on the high end, significantly more than others, or 1 significantly less than others? In terms of how you would rate them in terms of being open and honest about their mistakes that are made, how would you rate them on a scale of 1 to 5? 1, less significant than others, 5, significantly more than others. Open and honest about mistakes. The fourth question, in terms of ethical decisions, the person makes ethical decisions. How would you rate them on that particular behavioral competency? Makes ethical decisions. In terms of managing their emotions effectively in difficult situations, how would you rate them compared to others? Manages their emotions effectively in difficult situations. The final question, rating on recognizing others' hard work and achievements. The rating that you'd give them, recognizing others' hard work and achievements. Wonderful. Let's move on to the next thing. If you think and reflect back on this person, how do or did they make you feel? And here what you can just do is write down as many words, feelings that you come to mind when you think about how this person made you feel. As many emotions that you can recall or write down. Feelings and emotions that come to mind about this person. How did they make you feel? I'll give you another 30 seconds just to write those down. The next question is around discretionary effort. So discretionary effort, just to create context around it, is the level of effort that someone could give if they wanted to, that is over and above the minimum. We oftentimes speak about discretionary effort as going the extra mile. So if you think about this person in terms of going the extra mile for them, fully engaging with them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being fully engaged, going the extra mile for them, you would rate them on the higher side, or on the lower side, just did more towards the bare minimum, not overstretched yourself. What would you rate your discretionary effort in working with this person and working for this person? 10 on the high side, 1 on the lower scale. Great. So now we want to move to the flip side of the coin. So what I'd like you to ask to think about someone who was a challenging or a difficult manager, boss, co-worker, a mentor or a coach or a teacher. So think about someone that you found to be difficult and challenging to work with. Co-worker, manager, teacher, and again, just write that person's name on your piece of paper, name or initial. And again, this is confidential, so won't be asking you to share it. Great, and we can use the exact same rating scale. So on the questions we ask, 5 significantly more than others, you would rate them. On the low scale, 1 less than others. So first question is, reflecting back on the experience of a challenging, difficult co-worker, mentor, teacher, or boss, they demonstrate their awareness of their moods. So it demonstrates awareness of their moods and emotion. How would you rate this person? Demonstrates awareness of their moods and emotion. 5, significantly more than others, or 1, significantly less than others, or the gradient in between. In terms of how they make others feel, if you had to rate them on how they make others feel, significantly more than others, making them feel appreciated. On the low scale, makes others feel significantly less appreciated. Make others feel appreciated. Is open and honest about making mistakes. How would you rate them in that particular area? Open and honest about making mistakes. Makes ethical decisions. How would you rate this person on this particular area? Makes ethical decisions. The next is how they manage their emotions effectively in difficult situations. How would you rate them? Manages their emotions effectively in difficult situations. Number 1, recognizes others' hard work and achievement. How would you rate them on recognizing others' hard work and achievement? Let's look at how do they make you feel. If you consider how you felt around this person, write down some feelings and emotions that come to mind about this person. How do they make you feel? I'll give you a minute or so to write those down. How do they make you feel? And then again, we're looking at discretionary effort. The discretionary effort that you gave to this person. So how far beyond the extra mile would you go for this person? 10 on the high side, down to a scale of 1. So scaling of 1 to 10 in terms of discretionary effort you would give this person, what would you rate? Great. That's the end of the hard work. So let's move on to just a little bit of science of emotions. So in terms of our emotions, they influence the way we make decisions, behavior, and productivity. So in terms of our decisions, just to go an example, is if you've just had an increase in your salary, you're probably less likely to have road rage on the way home. In terms of our behavior, our emotions show up in our behavior. So oftentimes not just our words are used for communication, but our emotions show up in our body language and our facial expressions and our tone of voice. They say that you can hear a smile over a telephone without even seeing it. In terms of productivity, if you're having a bad day, if you were to get reprimanded by a line manager, you will probably have more reaction to that than you would if you were in a great mood. So the concept of oil over Dak's back kind of comes to mind. So our emotions do affect our productivity, how we show up in the workplace. So let's kind of go back to your sheet that you now would have had put together, and let's put some scoring behind it. So what I'd like you to do, and if Kobus can help me here, I just want to see if I can make this work, is I'd like to just find out what you scored for the Great Boss. So what you could do is just to calculate for the 6 scores of the Great Boss Mentor Coworker, just add up the scores that you would have there, and you should have something between a score of 5 to 30. And if you could then just either Kobus, if I'm going to try and get the second computer up and running, either of you can let me know what the scores you are seeing on your side, Kobus. Otherwise, I'll see if I can get it up on the side as well. Okay, I can't get up on my side. Kobus, if you're able just to see what people are saying in terms of the comment box.
Yeah, Chantal, it was just Duzil and Carissa 32, and I see Lizelle 26. That's the two that we have.
Perfect, wonderful. Thank you for that sharing. So what we find oftentimes when we do this exercise, even across the world, is with a high boss, any number above approximately 50 to 25 is very common to find when we're rating a great mentor or a coach. And then look at your opposite side. So in terms of difficult boss, what was your scoring on the 6 questions for the people on the, or for the person that was a difficult or a challenging co-worker, mentor, or teacher? What are the numbers that come up there? So just add the scores together. Again, it'll be a number between 5 and 30.
There's a 17.
Great. Any others?
And a 19.
Okay. Many times when we speak about the difficult or the challenging boss, we find scores as low as 8 up to 15 is very common to find. So oftentimes we can see a very different impact in terms of a great boss and a difficult or difficult manager, line manager, co-worker. And for the reason is that we can actually see emotional intelligence in people's behavior. It's demonstrable behavior. So we can see the difference and they impact people in a very different way. If we look at the next one, which was around the emotions. So if there are any emotions that that you see there, Kobus, welcome to highlight those. So the emotions around how a great boss made you feel. So just, I think, because we've got a few on in Kobus, you can just kind of read it as people type up. But oftentimes we hear things about, I felt empowered, I felt noticed, I felt appreciated. Are there any other words that you're seeing on your side, Kobus?
Inspired.
Inspired, beautiful. Beautiful.
And efficient, trustworthy, caring, and confident.
Beautiful. Fantastic. And if you go to the flip side of the coin, so again, if you wouldn't mind just to write in terms of a difficult manager, a co-worker, teacher, how did they make you feel? So again, of course, you want to pick up any descriptions that are there kind of from people that posted. It's oftentimes I see things like disempowered, unappreciated. Any others that you find coming up on the screen, Kobus?
Frustrated and worker.
Wonderful. So that oftentimes, again, we can see how those experiences of someone else's emotional intelligence is bringing up emotions for us in terms of interaction and behavior. And the discretionary effort always is an interesting one. So in terms of, let's look at the great manager first. What is the scores that you have for a great manager? We often find that this one is more than likely on the high end of the scale. Anything that come up in the chat box there, Kobus?
Nothing yet.
Okay, give me a second. So often with this one, we find that it's mostly on the high side, getting 9s and 10s, and I've had people even sometimes say like an 11, oftentimes comes up as well.
Someone said a 6.
Great. And let's go to the flip side. So in terms of discretionary effort for a difficult manager, co-worker, mentor, what is the rating that we have there in terms of discretionary effort going the extra mile? So genuine my experience, there's sometimes two sides to it. On the one hand, we find people that number is definitely lower, or there's a significant difference between the great manager or leader and the difficult or challenging one. And sometimes they're very similar, even higher, because people say they're going to prove a point to this person and do even more. So sometimes we get the shade, but mostly this is a very strong indication of engagement. your more great leaders or managers will have greater engagement from their team and their staff and people that they work with. Any numbers that come up in the chat box, Cobus?
Nothing at the moment.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. So something that I'm going to just quickly show you is that oftentimes we just when ask is how many years ago did you work with a person? So oftentimes people bring the people they're working with currently, but very often, whether it be a great person or the more challenging or difficult person, the impact is years later. Oftentimes when we ask you, you can recall anybody in your lifetime, they go back as far as 10, 15, and 25 years. So the real crux here is that people remember how you made them feel, and it's very much a lasting impression. So just kind of putting that together is what we see is that the way that we show up influences people either positively or negatively, and it really shows how we behave in an emotionally intelligent manner. The second thing is that emotional intelligence, or the difference between high emotional intelligence and lower emotional intelligence, is very observable and visible. You can directly see and observe this behavior. The next one is that there's a very direct link between discretionary effort and emotional intelligent behavior. So we generally find that leaders or people who are showing high emotional intelligence have greater engagement from people. And from all intelligence is shown and psychology has shown that if there's a greater amount of engagement, you get great productivity, great results as a business. So direct link between discretionary effort, emotional intelligence, and your engagement. And the last point to note is that all of this behavior is choices. So we choose how we show up. And the margin here really comes down to how we show up it's a required conscious choice. And the more we are living from a place of authenticity and making clear conscious choices as opposed to just reacting to the world, this power becomes back into our own hands. So what is emotional intelligence? It really is a set of skills that help us to better perceive, understand, reason, and express and manage our emotions, but also those of others. And that's why it's such a tremendous leadership tool. So applied emotional intelligence underlies our self-awareness, our empathy, our leadership, and our resilience. That beautiful power of being able to bounce back after adversity or even during adversity. And in this times we're living at the moment, I think it's one of the most critical and fundamentally strong skill sets to develop is resilience, being able to punch back and come back after a challenging or a difficult time. And as I mentioned earlier, the beautiful thing about emotional intelligence, although for some people it's such an enigma, the magic is that it is really a learnable and a measurable skill. By using assessments, by doing coaching, we're actually able to foster and grow and educate and upskill this particular skill set into and with people. Just looking at the Genos Emotional Intelligence toolkit that we actually use. So each of these 6 questions I've actually asked you relates to each one of the different 6 competencies. So in terms of emotional intelligence, there are 6 competencies that make up emotional intelligence. The first being emotional self-awareness. The second is awareness of others. Third is authenticity. Emotional reasoning really is being able to use the emotions in our decision making. So almost a beautiful blend of the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala working together to have more expansive thinking and decision making. Self-management, and then the last is inspiring performance, which relates directly to leadership. And as we grow our emotional intelligence, we're looking to move more towards the outer scale of circle of productive emotions and states rather than the inner circle. So when we're seeing low emotional intelligence, what people are experiencing from us, whether that be co-workers and people in our team or even our family members, is on the inner scale, disconnected, insensitive, untrustworthy, limited, temperamental, and indifferent. But as we grow our emotional intelligence, the experience of others, of us, is more being present, empathetic, genuine, expansive in our thinking and our decision making, resilient, showing that bounce back, and empowering. So, as mentioned earlier, is emotional intelligence is one of the most critical game changers looking into this future we're stepping into. So, what you'll note on here is that emotional intelligence comes in at number 6 as a critical skill. But looking at the components and the competencies of emotional intelligence, it's not only emotional intelligence that is affected or is part of this top 10 list, but people management is directly linked to emotional intelligence. Complex problem solving, creativity. The more we're able to use our emotions in a constructive and a productive way, the more we allow our prefrontal cortex or our thinking mind to be able to give us more expansive decision making, more lateral thinking, more creativity. Our judgment is better when we're coming from a stronger emotional intelligence place. Our negotiate, be able to be more conscious, and our cognitive flexibility are all directly impacted by emotional intelligence. So of the top skills in terms of the World Economic Forum, more than just probably about 9 of them is directly affected by emotional intelligence. So just to kind of show this by a couple of case studies, in work done by Gaunt, we found that there was a direct correlation between international business capability building. So EI was twice predictor of performance than they showed in terms of IQ. The next example is one from, also done by a business case study from Gaunt, in terms of looking at staff performance and looking at a measure of what predicted success or staff performance. And of their measures, 7 of their 10 measures were emotional intelligence based and soft skills based, and only 9% of the time, or 19%, was based on cognitive intelligence. So oftentimes we find that we hire for IQ, but we promote for EQ, and that's that big differentiator. Another beautiful example from the Air Force, the US Air Force, is as pararescuers, it is a highly volatile, uncertain, highly stressful environment and a occupation to fulfill. And they found that a huge amount of people don't make it through their training courses. And to train up one pararescuer cost the US Air Force approximately $250,000. And what they did in the study is they actually measured the emotional intelligence of all the candidates pre-going into training, and then compared with the number of those who completed. And what they found is that with high emotional intelligence, the candidates who showed high emotional intelligence were more successful in the training. And by bringing in emotional intelligence training as a screening tool, they saved about $190 million just through that exercise. So EI is a beautiful predictor and a correlation in terms of managing stressful and volatile and changing environments, very similar to what we're experiencing in our personal lives, but also in our world and work environments. Another wonderful tangible example from Sanofi, Aventis, was as a pharmaceutical company, they did training particularly in terms of their sales team. And what they found is they used 2 groups, one that had EQ training and the other which was a control group. And the first big difference they found is that there was probably about a 12% increase in the EQ of the people who were trained compared to the control group. But the biggest fundamental change they found is that the EQ trained staff had a high emotional intelligence after just 3 months, but they actually outsold the control group by $2.2 million a month. So that was a tangible, straight to bottom line impact just by EQ training. So the power is tangible and it shows directly in the bottom line results. So in terms of emotional intelligence, I think it's been said on this particular platform a couple of times, is that knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So emotional intelligence really is the power that you possess, and it applies the knowledge that you possess. So by bringing your emotions into peak state, into productive state, you are able to enable your cognitive thinking even further. It really is that merge and the switch between your left and your right brain and being able to enhance all the power and the excellence you have inside of you. So in terms of the Forge Your Destiny Summit, this is our second session around emotional intelligence. And as we said, we would do this free webinar in terms of just giving you an experience of emotional intelligence. So what we do is we offer a number of programs, particularly in emotional intelligence, from leadership to resilience to engagement. One of our workshops, probably the value of that is about 5,500 or 3,500 Rand for the actual workshop. We do a full EQ assessment including that, and that's about 2,185 Rand for the report. And then with that, you get a workbook, you get a developmental guide, and the value of that usually is 5,500 Rand. But as a gift to anybody who is attending the Forge Your Destiny Summit for these 2 weeks that we've held it, what we will do is give you the full workshop. It'll be 2 days, run over 3 hours in total. It'll be the psychometric assessment in terms of the GENOS EI assessment. We'll actually upgrade to the leadership report. We'll include the workbook, the developmental guide that actually gives you great practical coaching tools and techniques across all 6 areas of the competencies. And then weekly what we'll send you is a mindfulness practice in order to help you, as we did at the start of this call, just to bring yourself into present moment awareness, bring more consciousness in place so you are able to make more productive and empowered states and also decisions by influencing this cognitive neuroscience that's happening within your mental state. And then also what we'll be doing is for 33 days is to be part of a Facebook group, which will be an accountability support group to help you to get daily coaching and insights in terms of mastering emotional intelligence at a higher rate. And then just as a final value add is that for any further assessments you do with PeopleShop, on your next assessment will be a 25% discount. So the cost of that is 2,599 Rand, but as a special offer as part of the Forge Your Destiny Summit, we're offering for this period the price of 1,995. We'll be running this course within the next month, and we'd love to have you on there in order to add another gem and a beautiful, empowering skill set to your toolbox going into this future, which will be a totally new era we're going into post-lockdown. So in terms of emotional intelligence, changing the game for business and also changing your lives. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend the time with you. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take those. And please do connect with us on our Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, on our website, and join the PeopleShop's 101 Reskill Revolution. And I can probably stop sharing. Here we go. Any questions on that side, Cobus? Cobus, are you still there? Our MC seems to have disappeared. But I know that we're very close to potential load shedding. So from my side, thank you. Wonderful to see that there was great insight for you. I see here Doziel. Thank you. Wonderful, challenging environments, going the extra mile, fantastic. It was a great experience to be online with you, and we hope to share some more time with you and be able to have you on our training course, which will be running in the next month with regards to emotional intelligence. If you have any further questions, please do reach out to myself on my email, chantal@peopleshop.co.za, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Chantal. my internet, I couldn't click any button, unmute myself. And so that was like, okay. So tell us, like, Cobus, where are you? Where are you? I just want to say, Graham joined us, and just Graham said, you know, great job, Chantal, for sharing with us. I also train the subject all the time. Nice perspective. Thank you for that. And Cerise and Duzel says also thank you. Thank you very much. And Graham says, well done, Chantal.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity, and we hope to see you on our course pretty soon.
Definitely. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining. And please know that the replay will be on later today. It is also on Facebook Live. So please go down and relook. And by this Friday, I'm going to send out an email with the links to all of the talks, as well as all the freebies and all of the stuff that are being sold that you can enter for. So looking forward to it. And thank you for this last minute to join us. I really appreciate it. And thank you to you, Chantal. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much, Cobus. Have a beautiful day.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.